Hello, YouTube community. Welcome to this review of Kuroko's No Basket 2, episode 22. Alright, I really like this chapter. I like this chapter because I like Yosen's basketball team. I really do. I think, in my opinion, they are one of the most formidable teams in this tournament. And I especially like them because they are a defensive team. And you know what's weird was that I missed the last review. I missed the opportunity to review the episode 21 because I was really sick and I had this terrible cough, as I explained in my last video. But I like the fact that that game was a very defensive game, which is kind of weird because Duke and Syracuse played again, and that week that they played, it was a very defensive-minded game. So it's kind of funny how this whole thing arranged itself, because the first game you had the Toho Academy and Seren. It was described as a very offensive-minded game because both teams were offensive powerhouse, and in that Duke and Syracuse game was a very offensively-minded game. And then, like, the next time these guys play again, is a very defensive-minded game. It was a very low-scoring affair compared to the first match. And then we have, Yosen and Seren going at it, and what is emphasized here is the defensive strength of Yosen. It's kind of weird how that whole thing arranged itself, but anyway, I absolutely loved it. Anyway, this chapter mostly was about I believe the third quarter. Mostly the events of the third quarter, where, as you see, Murasaki Barak is pretty much, sitting back on the sidelines. Well, not on the sidelines, but, offensively he's pretty much on the sideline. He's basically just defending the rim. And Seren's coming up with very innovative minds to find a way to score. First, they put Kiyoshi at the point guard position. He outmaneuvers and outsmarts Murasaki Barak a couple times in there, and it just seems kind of funny because every time they try something new and different, Murasaki Barak becomes more and more, pissed off and enraged. And I have to say, I really liked how Seren thought outside the box with trying to go against Yosen, and as we saw, they began to score. But what was also interesting was that we saw is it Tatsukara? Yeah. I'm gonna review that name, but I know it starts with a T. So, Mr. T, he starts to show us his game, and his game is completely different from Aomina's form. Is that he has his basic fundamentals down so solid and smoothly that it's very transitional. It's very smooth. It's very pinpoint. He's so synchronized in his movements, so well that he can do the fakes so brilliantly. In fact, I think he's even a better faker than Aomine. Aomina's faking is not based on subtle movement, but it's just based on pure maneuver. Like, Aomine will just, go one way quickly, get you to commit, and then in a very fluid, formless motion that he has, he'll just switch to the other side. He'll go one way. He's like water, he flows this way and he flows that way depending on how he feels, the game, how he feels his opponent's energy or movement. And Aomina is very good at sizing people up. And what was interesting was Aomina is up there and he's watching, and he doesn't know exactly what is up with Mr. T, but he knows that Mr. T's got some skills. And even for him, he said he did not see a fake out so smoothly done on Kagami. This is really something. It makes me wonder what would have happened if, say, he was playing Aomine one-on-one. Would he fake him out as easily? Clearly so, since Aomine says that was the best fake he had ever seen. So besides that, his faking and his transition from one move to another is so smooth and so fundamental that he can do it so fast that he's practically making doubles of himself. When he's faking, it's like his mere presence itself is an actual fake. So that one image he's there, he's about to shoot, but then he doesn't shoot, or he dives forward, but then he's back. It's insane. It's insane. It's really awesome though. So we get to see his skills. Now, what's happened though is that Kagami and the others, they take it to Murasaki Barak, and long and short is that Kagami dunks over him, and now Murasaki Barak gets pissed off. He's just enraged. So now we are going to see him in the next episode go full on. Now here's what I think. When I was first watching this, right, I was wondering to myself, I know he's a defensive guy, but he can't be all defense. And especially since they're finding, all these ways to outmaneuver him, I said to myself, no. With every player that we've seen so far from Taiko Middle School, all these players, these elite players, these Generation Miracle level players, is that eventually they take off. And we see them dominate in a very spectacular way. Now, right now, the only thing we see from Murasaki Barak is that within like the defensive line, no, sorry, not the defensive line, the inside of the arc of the 3-point line, everything within that bounds he can defend and therefore block and squash. If you move one-on-one, if you move like basically, if you try to take it on your own against him, he will stop you. He will stop you every single time. That's why Aomine said even he had trouble scoring against him, because Aomine doesn't rely on anybody else. He just goes one-on-one. And Murasaki's ability is Murasaki Barak. Did I say Murasaki? That's a guy from Bleach. No, Murasaki Barak can basically stop anything within the 3-point arc. So someone like Aomine would have a very hard time scoring against him because he's a very one-on-one type of player. But we haven't seen the offensive side, and I believe the next episode we're going to actually see what he can do on the offense, and I have a feeling he's just going to dominate. I haven't read the manga. I don't really like reading the mangas when I'm watching an anime. A lot of reasons why that is the case. I like to feel the excitement. I feel as though if I were to read a manga, I wouldn't be as excited watching the anime. So I haven't, for those specific reasons, read the manga. However, after season 2 ends, I will go back and read the manga and start reading it. And then, would I be able to stop before we get to season 3? I don't know. We'll see about that. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about, I believe that Murasaki Barak is going to really show us what he is capable of in the second half, and I think he's going to be dominant. I think he's going to be virtually unstoppable, which makes me wonder, what are they going to do to stop him? Because he's a center. In the past games, we had, the past Miracle games, I should say, we had Midarame, whose basic skill was he can shoot from anywhere off the court. But Kagami could jump and stop him. The other guy we had was Kisei, who could copy any other move. Well, that was pretty much negated by, Kuroko's, basketball. And then we had Aomine, who was stopped by Kagami going, into the zone. So with Murasaki Barak, who's going to stop him? I think the only person who can really stop him is Kiyoshi, but can Kiyoshi stop him on the defensive end? There's a reason why Murasaki Barak ranks above him and Kiyoshi is a uncrowned king. And that is that, Murasaki Barak dominates. And he's probably the number 1 center, probably in the league. So how are they going to stop him? Kuroko, I think is the only trump card I can think of. That said, I think however this ends, it's going to be a combination of Kuroko's abilities, Kagami's abilities, be it his high jumps or getting into the zone or whatever, and Kyoshi. I don't see them winning the games without these guys. And of course, the rest of the team is going to have to play a supporting role, Mr. Eagle Eye has to do his thing, and Mr. Three Pointer has to do his thing. But I think when it comes down to it, for them to win with Murasaki Bara going on offense, is that these threes have to fall in line. The other thing, though, I also must point out is that with Murasaki Bara going on offense, this opens things up for fast breaks. So will Seren take advantage of this? Will they take advantage of this, and will this play into their strength if they can go on fast breaks now that he's no longer at the backcourt? I think they can do that if Kuroko's in the game and he's doing his ignite pass and all that other stuff. I think they have a chance of pulling that off. My only problem is that does Yosen also have a very good ability to get back on defense, because that is their main strength. And so far, when I've seen them play, when Murasaki Barak was there, they got back pretty fast a couple of times. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. But anyway, I hope you like this review. This is the Crossover, signing out.